Well, good morning, my friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion, and you must think we're in Ohio because we're looking at the Wright brothers plane, but we are not. We're actually in Montgomery, Alabama. Daze with Jordan the Lion, it begins right now. And for me, one of the best places to start is the riverfront down here. I mean, you're like a block away from the ballpark. They have a minor league team here. You've got the Hank Williams Museum down here, the Hank Williams statue, quite a few things to see. And check out this old school wall advertisement for spearmint gum, Wrigley's gum. Isn't that great? And one of the main things that I wanted to do when I came to Montgomery last time, I ran out of time, didn't get to do it. And part of the reason was because it was also an Airbnb and they were totally booked. So I kind of wanted the full experience, and we're getting it this time. We're gonna check in at 2 p.m. at the F. Scott Fitzgerald Museum. And as you take the pathway to the Hank Williams statue, they have all kinds of inspirational quotes from local people that made an impact on the world here. Like Charles Barkley, sometimes that light at the end of the tunnel is a train. It's great advice. Rosa Parks, each person must live their life as a model for others. And speaking of Rosa Parks, we're gonna see her statue today. I would rather walk with a friend in the dark than alone in the light, Helen Keller. And Thomas Edison, to invent, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk. Then of course, Martin Luther King Jr. made a huge impact here. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. And here's Hank. Can't come to Montgomery without paying homage to Hank. Even though we did a whole big vlog on Hank last time we were here in town, I wanted to at least come and start here. You guys haven't seen him for a while. I actually got into town yesterday and didn't make a vlog. Just kinda took a personal fun day for myself and ended up a block away from here at the minor league baseball team, the Montgomery Biscuits game. Had a great time there. Oh yeah, the great Hank Williams. In my book, one of the top 3 to ever do it, to ever perform, write music, make an impact on the world. As far as musician, he was one of them. And they so fittingly put him in a nudie suit. You can see how great they did on this statue. Now Hank's actually buried here in Montgomery, so we're gonna go over to his grave here in a little bit and meet up with a Lionheart who I told I would meet there. They have this right here in the center of town. It says the Lightning Route. In 1886, Montgomery became the first city in the Western Hemisphere to convert an entire street railway system to electricity. So let's head up this road and check out the Rosa Parks statue. Now if you come up here where this beautiful fountain is in this roundabout, there's some great history right up here. And a beautiful fountain, of course. But check out what's over here. A little bit of art. So you see there's a statue right over here, and there's also a museum to her here in town. This is Rosa Parks' statue. So you can imagine what happened here. This was the infamous bus stop. Here it says Rosa Parks was arrested on a Montgomery bus December 1st, 1955 for refusing to relinquish her seat to a white passenger. Her arrest, which happened 2 blocks west of Montgomery Street, sparked a 381-day Montgomery bus boycott, which led the Montgomery Improvement Association and culminated in 1956 with Browder versus Gale. And of course we know what happened after that. Changed the rules. Now the bus stop itself is actually right over here. And she boarded the bus, took the bus a few blocks down, and actually where the Rosa Parks Museum is where someone called the police and she was arrested for disorderly conduct. And they've basically made this whole kind of section over here dedicated to her, of course. So they have a maple leaf right here on the ground commemorating where she boarded the bus. Didn't want to sit in the back of the bus any longer. Here stood Rosa Parks Mother of the civil rights movement. Let's go over and visit Hank's grave, and then we're going to go check in over at the F. Scott Fitzgerald Museum, where we're gonna sleep tonight. They even kind of named this cemetery after Hank now. It's right up here to the left. I mean, if you're reading that sign, would you think first off the bat that it's called Oakwood Cemetery? I mean, I would think it's called Hank Williams Memorial Cemetery. This is sacred ground to me. The astroturfed grave of Audrey and Hank Williams. Because, as you can imagine, any celebrity, somebody tried to remove the body at one point, so they had to do this. And I'll show you something interesting about this. I'm such a huge Hank fan. I just, you know, it's like Elvis. You go anywhere near Memphis, you gotta go pay homage to Elvis, no matter how many times you went. Please do not desecrate this sacred spot. Many thanks, Hank Williams Jr. You'll notice that Hank and Audrey's granite has the corner shaved off. It's because somebody tried to wrap a chain around and pull it out at one point. But this is Hank. You can see there's a guitar and his boots. That's one adventure I still have to make, the trip where he passed away. One of his cowboy hats right there. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. It's one of his best. This is actually one of the greatest headstones anyone has in the world, in my opinion, because it's got not only a picture of him, it's got one of his greatest songs up here with the light shining down. And then down here, they've got all of his songs, all of his biggest hits. Mansion on a Hill, Long Gone Lonesome Blues, Your Cheating Heart, I Can't Help It, Lovesick Blues, Men with Broken Hearts from the Luke the Drifter, which is an amazing record. I just got Told Mama Goodbye. Yeah, Luke the Drifter that was the true Hank, a lot of people said. Hey Good Lookin', I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive, Kalijah, Jambalaya, and Cold Cold Heart. So Jeff, you follow my Instagram and you saw kind of my path yesterday. Yes. Of how and where I was going, and noticed I was making my way to Montgomery, and you said, is there any way I can meet you? And I said, let's meet up at Hank Williams' grave. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy you replied. I probably felt a little stalkerish because I sent you a Patreon message because I wasn't sure if Instagram you got every message or response or whatever, and so I kind of was, well, every avenue I have to reach out to him, I'm going to, and maybe he'll reply. And you sure did, and I mean, I can't believe I had a little fanboy moment, like I said.
How long you been watching, man?
I saw your first one about 3 years ago, and then of course I went back and started with one.
And you said you have a job where you can kind of watch video all day, so I kind of keep you company during the day. I thought that was really cool.
Software tester job can get very tedious in the same application. I work in claims, so you know there's one application we use for a lot of stuff, and so I'm always testing that. So it's like hearing your narratives on stuff and having a vlog of yours playing on one screen while I'm working on this screen. I mean, it's you've got me through many hours of tedious work, weekend work. Sometimes I have to hit up a Saturday AM for a release into something, and there's a new vlog from Daze with Jordan the Lion, and you sent me a couple guitar picks.
Oh, dude, that's great. Yeah, that's great. It's a pleasure to meet you.
I wanted some of the neon green sunglasses, but when I went to the shop, it was like sold out and not replacing, and I was like, oh man, well let me find something else. And then you sent me a couple guitar picks, and
right on, man. Nice to meet you.
Guitar picks, man. It's so cool that you agreed to meet me out here. I'm starstruck a little.
I like to come out here and just start playing his music on my phone. Just let it reverberate through the air. You just reminded me of something. You said the statue used to be out here instead of in town, and it was in the Alan Jackson.
Midnight in Montgomery was the name of that song, and they shot it out here, and it was kind of a big deal. But, you know, they had to like rope it off and had, you know, all the production equipment, and they had to close off because, you know, people be driving through here and stuff.
Oh yeah,
so
people are here constantly. Since we've been here, people have been coming and going.
A guy on an RV sitting over there, I don't know.
Waiting for us to leave.
That's it.
Hank's mom, Lillian. All right, let's go to our room for the night. All right, no mistaking those signs. Here we are. I'm so excited to be here. The Fitzgerald home, F. Scott Fitzgerald. My top 2 favorite authors of all time. I think the thing that was so interesting about Scott to me was that his parents kind of struggled, but his grandfather had money, and so Scott always just had this dream of always wanting to be someone memorable, someone that lived a life worth envying. And so he kind of set out to do that, and he ended up going to Princeton, wasn't doing so well there, and ended up, to save face, instead of failing out, he went and joined the military. And it was his time in the military that brought him here to Montgomery, where he would meet Zelda Sayer, the love of his life, and he would eventually go off. Supposedly they were going to ship him off to war during World War I, but then everything stopped and he ended up not going, and went on to have a job as an ad executive, for, you know, writing ad for advertisements and everything, and not doing so well, never really making enough money, and always dreaming of being with Zelda. And Zelda lived here in Montgomery, and she wanted a wealthy life. And so Scott set out to write a book that would make him someone worth envying. He would basically invent a character in his books and then go on to live out becoming those characters in real life. And he embodied the Jazz Age, which he wrote about, and they lived here while he wrote Tender as the Night. You can see the date of the home goes back to 1910, but once Scott sold his first book, he told Zelda, and she agreed that she wanted to be with him. They got married, and so here the story is that F. Scott Fitzgerald, his wife Zelda, and daughter Scotty lived in this house from October 1931 to April of 1932. During that period, Fitzgerald worked on his novel Tender as the Night, and Zelda began her only novel, Save Me the Waltz. Now once again the belt is tight, and we summon the proper expression of horror as we look back at our wasted youth. Sometimes though, there is a ghostly rumble among the drums, an asthmatic whisper in the trombones, and it all seems rosy and romantic to us who were young then, because we will never feel quite so intensely about our surroundings anymore. F. Scott Fitzgerald from Echoes of the Jazz Age, which was also written here in 1931. So this, my favorite book actually ever, very coming of age type story, is This Side of Paradise. And this, I notice, is kind of aptly named, this property. And it says, the bricks used to construct this sign are from Zelda's home at 6 Pleasant Avenue. They did end up demolishing that house, which is a shame because there are photos of Zelda in front of that house. But it's nice they were able to use some of these bricks to further on their legacy. And there's also a photo of Zelda doing like a photo shoot, and she's sitting, this is a great sign, she's sitting on some luggage cases that have this address on them. So we're gonna go in, and this is where I'm staying tonight. I'm staying on the top floor. We're going into the Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald Museum. And this other side actually has a quote from Zelda, and it says, "Every place has its hours." So in Jeffersonville, Montgomery, where existed then, and I suppose now, a time and quality that appertains to nowhere else, it began about 6:30 on an early summer night, with the flicker and sputter of the corner street lights going on, and it lasted until the great incandescent globes were black inside with moths and beetles, and the children were called into bed from the dusty streets. All right, let's take this pathway into the home the way that they would have went in, the way they would have driven their car into, and we'll walk around the property. I see there's little benches and some of them have placards and quotes on them. So cool, I get to sleep in their bedroom. There aren't really too many of their residents that even exist anymore. Definitely not ones that you can stay in. Their front door. The only dedicated museum to the Fitzgerald family in the world. And I know that their daughter Scotty did work hard trying to preserve as many locations as she could, but in the end, Zelda's house was torn down. The old mailbox is here. So here they have a placard talking about the history of the house that says that it was originally a single family house inhabited in 1931-32 by F. Scott. Afterward, it was subdivided into 4 apartments. I might have screwed this up. They might be closed again. Last time I was here, that's one of the reasons I couldn't come, is even though the room was booked, the museum was closed the days I was here. It looks like it's closed again. Let's go up to our room though. There's DiCaprio and The Great Gatsby. That was a good version too. I saw that in the theater. There's the Zelda room. I have the Scott room. Out in the hallway they have a little chair that you can sit here and read with works of Fitzgerald, Kerouac, all kinds of people. I just went in and put my things down. Holy smoke, this was worth it. Prepare yourself for going back in time, 1931. The old original wallpaper they found underneath and everything. That's why they left it on here like this. You can see a slant to the floor, which is kind of interesting. But take a look around. You really do feel like you went back in time. The beautiful painting of Scott up there. And they have really great memorabilia all over. Signed letters and all kinds of things. Let me show you. That's great. I've been wanting to get a little elephant side table for my place too, so they just won me over there. So look at this. As you go behind the door here, you have a signed letter written by Scott to someone named Bunny, to Dear Bunny, when he was in Paris. Because you can see down here at the bottom where he's talking about Zelda and signed it Scott. Then if you look across the room, there's lyrics for a song written by Scott. You can see up here his name. Music by W.M. Spencer. What the Manicure Lady Knows. I just love this. I mean, I love the wallpaper. I love that you can see basically what they had to do was it looks like it was painted. Like there was another layer over top of it. Like they had wallpapered over top of this layer and then painted that layer, and they just somehow like chipped it all up. I can tell from the very, very top that's how it was done. So you can see the wood right there. That very well is the wallpaper that Scott and Zelda would have had in here. And I'll show you kind of another way you can tell, God, this place is great. This is just the entry room. But right here, you can see where, kind of as I was describing, where it's wallpaper that's been painted. It's a great painting of him. And then it's got in here, that's painted, but it's been painted then painted over. Very interesting method. So now let me take you into the hallway. There's the bathroom, and to the left is the bedroom. But right here in the hallway, you have some more letters written by Scott. He always went by Scott, not F. Scott. The F was Francis. Francis Scott Key was his relative. So they've definitely redone this bathroom. It looks a lot modern, a lot more modern. This room is where I'm gonna sleep, and it's got a really cool green vibe to it. It's called the Zelda room. You can see now there's a green light in my eyes. And the pillows even say Zelda. And above them are letters from Zelda. Absolutely beautiful room. Really is. Let me get my shadow out of there. And then down here at the bottom, this is written to Scott. At the very top it says to Scott. And the last line is great. It says, "You are the only man I have ever meant to kiss. Your Zelda." And then a really fantastic poster of F. Scott right here on the wall, right next to the bed. Trying to figure out how to give you the best perspective of this room I can. Little heater over here. And then up here, they have some old-fashioned razors. It says in July of 2020, the repair work in the bathroom in the Fitzgerald home revealed some razor blades that had been disposed of through a slot in the back of the medicine cabinet. Attached to a randomly selected razor from what was found, our research indicates the razors found were from the early 1930s, possibly corresponding to the time that Scott and Zelda lived here. That's pretty cool. Princeton, those definitely would be his, you would think. And they also found these as well. And again, if you look at the walls, you can see where they've wallpapered it and painted it, and underneath is what they found of the original stuff, because if you walk all the way around and look in the corner that we were just in, same deal over here. I would assume these are the same exact hardwood floors that they walked on. Now we're gonna walk up that little slant. This is the bathroom that they refinished and found those razors in. They do warn you online, like, you know, remember this is an older house, so the bathroom and everything is going to be a little tighter than what you may be used to. Then here's the kitchen. With a letter or like an article from Esquire that Scott wrote. And there's our kitchen here with some old-fashioned cans of vegetables. Time period appropriate, probably. Not a time period Frigidaire. I do appreciate that though. Put some milk bottles in there, and then a view out into the garden. So yeah, you get some modern conveniences. Appreciate the stove and the oven for people that are staying here. But there's a walkthrough. Even if we don't get to do the museum, I did call and ask if they could open it up, but Even if we don't get to, this was totally worth it to me. Give us another reason to come back. Wow, what a suite. Now, if you're asking, how much are they charging for this, Jordan? It was like 70 bucks. Airbnb hits you for like a little bit of a fee. I think all the fees and everything combined, I'm paying like 105 bucks for the night. That's less than most hotels I stay in, so. And this place, look at the character in here. Oh my gosh. Just the charm of the place and the history of it all. It's amazing. As you saw when we came in, this used to all be a single family, so it was just the three of them here. Now they've turned it into 4 apartments, one being the museum, the other being, I think, an office, and then the 2 upstairs apartments. I chose this one, the F. Scott one, because they said this was the bigger and the more kind of lavish and the more time period appropriate. But the Zelda is probably pretty cool. Maybe we'll come back in the future and stay in that room and check that out. Take a look at this. Just taking in the details as we were walking around, I just thought of this. This is probably where he would have done a lot of his writing. I mean, that's where they're kind of setting it up. It's got a Fitzgerald pillow right here, and this is overlooking right where we were doing the intro of this part of the video where the street sign is for the house and everything. So he would have had a great view to think and write and imagine. If we don't get in the museum, I'll be a little bit bummed, but I think we've seen a lot today, and it'll give me a reason to come back, so. Everything happens for a reason. What you don't see in here, a television. Even the literature on the desk is roaring 20s. It's so crazy. I mean, what I meant by that was like they kind of invented the jazz age. He was the one that kind of like invented this lifestyle of like, hey, let's go drinking all night during Prohibition, like going to underground speakeasies and parties and dancing on tables and swinging from chandeliers and getting on the top of cars and riding down Madison Avenue, you know, like just crazy reckless behavior. He would think it up, and then he and Zelda would go live it out and become legendary. The papers would write about them, and then all of a sudden that would kind of embody the age. You know what else is special about staying here? If I'm not mistaken, this was the last house that they all lived in together. I think Scott and Zelda pretty much split up after that. Then she eventually would end up in like a sanitarium. Okay, so we got some good news. The people that run the Airbnb said they will meet me in the museum at 9:30 in the morning. So the next vlog that you see, we will be inside the museum. Let's go take a look outside. I want to show you a couple of things around the neighborhood and on the grounds here. Now we'll take a walk around the house a little bit. You can see the side doors and everything. Pretty nice big property for you to have some thinking time for writing novels and short stories. I noticed out here they have a little garden with a plaque. I begin my falling contations over the seed and bone meal. There's a starkly epic poetry in even the meagerest of gardening, and I love savoring the fall smoke from burning rubbish and heaping the leaves for earth mold. Though I often wish that it was time to leave for the opera, I am content. And then right catty corner from their house, they have this little park. Unfortunately, the fountain isn't turned on, but this park is dedicated to the Fitzgeralds, as you can see right here. And it says that this park was dedicated by the friends and neighbors of Scott and Zelda. Their house is literally right there on that corner. So if you sit in this bench, you can kind of look over at it. And it's neat because they have all kinds of little quotes here. Looks like they're all from Zelda. Death is the only real elegance. I hate a room without an open suitcase in it. It seems so permanent. I did not have a single feeling of inferiority or shyness or doubt, and no moral principles. Sometimes in me vibrates to a dusky, dreamy smell of dying moons and shadows. So refused to be bored, chiefly because she wasn't boring. I'll clean that one off. Memory should be sharp when one has nothing else to live for. Nobody has ever measured, not even poets, how much a heart can hold. I don't want to live, I want to love first and live incidentally. It is the loose ends which men hang themselves. The trouble with emergencies that I always put on my finest underwear and then nothing happens. Youth doesn't need friends, it only needs crowds. Reaching her goal, she would drive to devils that had driven her. Improving herself, she would achieve peace. I'm so full of confetti I could give birth to paper dolls. I suppose all we can really share with people is a taste for the same kinds of weather. And then while standing in the park, I noticed there's a plaque here on this house. Let me show you what this one says. This is really interesting. It says, the Moore Tyson Phillips home, Helen Keller frequently visited here. So it says the house was built in 1908, and eventually one of the owners was a man named Warren Tyson, whose wife, Mildred Keller Tyson, was a sister of Helen Keller, a frequent visitor. So this was Helen Keller's sister's house. So now time for a little bit of local food. I have been recommended this by about 3 different friends, and we're coming to Chris's Hot Dogs. Apparently Hank used to eat here. Let's see, opened on May 1st, 1917. Till the 1960s, Chris offered curb service, lending to long lines of cars queued for service. The hot dogs featured Chris' secret chili sauce. Ooh, I love chili sauce, so we'll have to try that. Known by only a few family members and shipped all over the world. He served millions of customers during his first 10 decades, ranging from local regulars and Alabama governors to 4 presidents. Franklin Roosevelt often ordered boxes of hot dogs when his train traveled through Montgomery. Harry Truman, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush ate at Chris's while visiting. Other customers ranged from George Wallace, civil rights leaders including Martin Luther King Jr., Hank Williams was a regular. Elvis Presley ordered Chris's Hot Dogs before a Garrett Coliseum concert. Let's go eat. Old school sign alert. I love it. It's an old school lunch counter type feel. A couple of seats right up here at the counter. I love it. They have a simple menu. My friend Joey Diaz always says, if some place has a lot of things on the menu, you won't like it because no place can be that good at that many things. I think I'm gonna decide I'm gonna get a cheese dog and a cheeseburger. All right, there we go. I'm gonna dig in. I can't wait to see what this famous chili tastes like. I can see it still steaming, so nice and hot and fresh. So my verdict on the chili dog was it was good. It has a nice little peppy zing to it. Now we're gonna dig into the cheeseburger. I can definitely recommend that cheese dog though. I'm loving the food, and the people that work here are telling us the greatest stories. Totally worth the trip. All right, Lionhearts, we will see you all tomorrow. Same Alabama time, same Alabama channel. Right here from the Fitzgerald house. We'll be starting at the museum and making our way to Memphis. I want to thank Mindy Mooney, Tony Kane, John McDonald, Daniel for becoming my newest patrons. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow in Montgomery, Alabama. Have a great night. Just as the thunder's rolling in, I will say, see you then. Goodbye.